Forget the final frontier. For 1,000 years, the Milky Way hasn't just been a map to explore. It's been a high-stakes arms race against extinction. We went from fragile tin cans held together by magnets to sentient, shape-shifting gods of the multiverse. The saucer and the nacelle aren't just design choices. They are the DNA of a superpower. Today, we're stripping back the hull plating and overclocking the warp cores to trace the total evolution of the Federation starship. From the gritty submarine era to the era where technology became indistinguishable from magic. Energize! Firstly, let's start off from the pre-Federation era, the Phoenix Dawn, post-World War II. Before the Federation, before the uniforms, there was just a man in a Montana missile silo with a dream that looked like a junk pile. In 2363, Zephram Cochrane didn't build a starship. He built a life raft for the human spirit using a nuclear missile casing. The Phoenix was the first human vessel to achieve Warp 1, using a makeshift warp core that literally cracked the sky open. This wasn't about phasers or shields. It was about the first time humanity stopped looking at the mud and started looking at the stars. It was raw, it was vibrating, and it was the sweetest sound the universe ever heard. Next, the Warp 5 pioneers. 2150s. Let's take an example of the Enterprise NX-01. The 22nd century was humanity's submarine era in space. The NX class was a fragile pioneer, built by a species that was effectively the underdog of the quadrant. It lacked the shimmering energy bubbles we associate with Trek. Instead, it relied on polarized hull plating. Before an impact, the crew had to physically harden the hull with electromagnetic charges. A desperate defense that barely held against superior Klingon or Vulcan weaponry. This ship was a tiny, cramped catamaran of metal and grit, lacking shields, transporters, or even phasers, relying instead on primitive phase cannons and spatial torpedoes. It represents a time when every deep space mission was a terrifying gamble, and survival wasn't guaranteed by a button press, but by the thickness of the ship's physical skin. Now let's take a look at third evolution, the Constitution era, 2240s to 2290s, the famous NCC 1701. This is the era where the Federation became a superpower, defining the iconic silhouette of the primary saucer, secondary hull, and twin nacelles. The Constitution class introduced the first true deflector shields and high-output phasers to the human arsenal. This was the golden age of exploration, where ships were rugged enough to survive 5-year missions without support. The mid-era refit represented a massive technological leap, introducing linear warp drive and the first dedicated photon torpedo launchers. These ships were built with a jack-of-all-trades philosophy. They were scientific labs, diplomatic summits, and formidable heavy cruisers all rolled into one. It was the era that proved Starfleet could not only explore the frontier, but hold its own against any empire. Moving along, we have the Ambassador and Galaxy era. After decades of relative peace, Starfleet's design philosophy shifted toward utopian hubris. Ships like the massive Galaxy class were essentially flying cities. The Enterprise D was a marvel of luxury, featuring wood paneling, families, and schools, reflecting a Federation that believed the era of total war was over. This era introduced phaser strips, allowing for 360-degree firing arcs and massive internal volume for scientific research. However, this focus on comfort came at a cost. While powerful, these ships were soft targets compared to the threats lurking in the shadows. The Galaxy class represented the peak of Federation idealism, a ship built for a universe that was supposed to be friendly, but was quickly proven to be anything but by the arrival of the Borg. Next, the War-Forged era, 2370s to 2400s, the Defiant and Enterprise E. The brutal losses at Wolf 359 changed Starfleet forever. Utopian explorers were replaced by war-forged hunters, like the Defiant and Sovereign class. The Defiant was the first true Federation warship, a compact engine with guns bolted on, lacking even a kitchen or sick bay to save weight for its massive pulse phasers and ablative armor. The Sovereign class took this further, becoming a sleek, predatory battleship armed with quantum torpedoes and regenerative shielding. These ships abandoned the moving city philosophy for sharp angles and reinforced hulls, designed specifically to kill Borg cubes and Dominion dreadnoughts. This era represents the Federation's loss of innocence, where the peaceful explorer learned how to put on armor and fight for its very existence in a hostile galaxy. The Hybrid Era, early 25th century, the Enterprise F. As the Federation recovered from the Dominion War, Starfleet realized it couldn't simply be a war fleet, nor could it return to the soft luxury of the past. The result was the Hybrid Era, epitomized by the Odyssey class. These ships returned to the majestic scale of the 24th century, but built in the tactical lessons of war as standard features. They introduced multi-vector assault mode and integrated slipstream drives, allowing massive explorers to split into multiple independent combat units. This era represents a balanced Federation, one that has returned to its mission of peaceful discovery, but carries a massive, technologically superior stick. These ships were designed to be the ultimate diplomatic tool, a sanctuary for friends and an unstoppable fortress for enemies. Now let's take a look at the Galactic Rim era, 26th century, the Enterprise J. By the 26th century, the Federation had grown so vast that traditional warp travel was too slow to maintain a unified government. This birthed the era of the Universe-class super dreadnoughts. These ships, like the Enterprise J, were miles long and so thin they appeared almost translucent. They were effectively mobile starbases, designed to operate in the vast voids between galactic arms for decades at a time. The interior volume was so immense that they utilized internal transporters just to navigate between decks. Technologically, this era saw the first widespread use of binaural gel packs and early temporal shielding, creating a ship that was less of a vessel and more of a self-sustaining ecosystem capable of projecting Federation power across the entire Milky Way. The Temporal Mastery Era, 29th to 31st century, the USS Relativity. By the 29th century, the Federation moved beyond space travel to master the fourth dimension, time. Ships like the Wells class were built to protect the timeline itself. These vessels utilized temporal barriers, specialized shields that protected the ship from being erased from history by temporal paradoxes or weaponized time travel. Their sensors could detect chronotons from light years away, and their transporters could move people across centuries as easily as across rooms. In this era, the Federation acted as the guardians of history, ensuring that the past remained unchanged. A single ship from this era could theoretically defeat an entire 24th century fleet, simply by ensuring the fleet's ancestors were never born, making them the ultimate silent enforcers of reality. Lastly, we have the Programmable Matter Era, 32nd century Discovery A. In the 32nd century, Federation technology has become indistinguishable from magic. Following the burn, ships were rebuilt with programmable matter, intelligent dust that can reshape the bridge, consoles, and furniture instantly to the pilot's needs. The most striking evolution is the detached nacelles. The engines no longer physically touch the ship, floating in localized gravity wells to allow for instantaneous, impossible maneuvers. Ships like the refit Discovery A or the Voyager J utilize spore drives to blink across the multiverse in a second, rendering traditional warp travel obsolete. With hulls made of self-healing neutronium and organic metals, these ships represent the pinnacle of evolution. They are no longer just vessels, but sentient, shape-shifting entities that exist at the border of pure thought and physical matter. We've come a long way from the polarized metal and spatial torpedoes of the NX-01. Starfleet vessels have evolved from vessels we inhabit into sentient, shape-shifting entities that exist at the border of pure thought and physical matter. They are no longer just tools of exploration. They are the ultimate enforcers of reality itself. But through every refit, every war, and every temporal shift, the mission hasn't changed. The hull might be made of programmable matter now, but the heart of the ship is still the same: to go where no one has gone before. Which era of Starfleet engineering would you want to serve in? Drop a comment below and don't forget to hit subscribe for more deep space intel.